Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another WARNO match. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about more of a guide about what to do when one of your teammates gets doubled. This happens pretty periodically on a lot of these maps. I mean, for example, there's this little on this point of alpha. If you take this area and lock it down, it's almost impossible to really get back into it relative to other points. So we see that me and Saint are playing on the left side here. I'm playing my third armor in the northern front, Saint in the southern front, going as his French deck of 11th. And in contrast to our opponents, they're playing 39th and 79th, but they're playing on top of one another. Well, we did not play on top of one another, right? We're just going lane to lane. So we see both Salad and Redcorn going down the southern flank, and only a token force from Redcorn going in the north. And this is what you got to do in these situations when this happens. It happens pretty periodically. So when you see, the opponents do this, double another front, you see tons of forces from my opponent in the north not going to the north, they're going down into the south. And we're gonna try to punish this pretty quickly. Immediately when you're playing with a teammate and this happens, right? So Saint will let me know. He's gonna say, hey, by the way, I see your guy over here. Two of forces. Either there's like two options here. A, you can help your teammate by setting a token force, which again, probably not the most effective thing. And you probably should do both, but if your teammate's getting crushed, probably should send some aid. But actually, the best thing you can actually do is push through and push hard, because this is the situation right now, right? So Saint is being doubled by two people right now. You got two players, or 1.5 of income on him right now versus his just one income. These forces are already here. Every tick I send over here, it's going to take 2 or 3 minutes for those forces to get there to equalize the forces over here, while his forces are already on the front line doing the damage and already sending us into the negative category. The better move is to send some aid, but also is to push as fast and hard as possible. Whatever gains you gain over here, you gain over back on this location. And then you can start to swing around and help out elsewhere. Because if you can take over these locations and over here, it relieves pressure over here. Either both players on this side have to refocus forces to the north, or this guy has to completely stop microing his forces and start microing in the north because he's having to deal with, me playing aggressive. And this is what happens a lot. It's like a lot of players take their zone, they stop, and then they rotate to help their teammate, and their teammate's already on the negative on the front, and there's more force there, and for you to accumulate the same amount of force is going to take a long time. Let's see what's saying here, opening up with a, going for SG, gets a clean kill. SC-27 comes back around though, gets a nice clean kill in response. Then opening up with fine engagement, getting all on his troops into this area. Redcorn and Salad are in this location. Both the players bought a lot of aircraft at the start. And this is the point where we realized we saw, for a glimpse, we saw an OSHA here. We've seen there was another OSHA here. We're talking about now, gets a nice clean kill. Now we have a huge deficit for our opponents now. And Salad bought a lot of aircraft too at the start. And we see two people here. And say, let me know. So like, instead of redeploying more conservatively back here, I immediately start to put the pressure on him. I see he only has one tank on the front line. He has no real forces in the north, so I can have 3 squads pretty much wipe that out. Got my forces moving up, and I'm just going to push all the way now into his spawn area. Then here, holding out just fine. He had no real trouble dealing with his counter force. Played it conservatively, deployed in the rear with a lot of MGs, and there's plenty of infantry. There's that forward deploy, and no problem at all. And now we're going to kind of go to 2-speed here. Just going to see what happens here. Gonna keep pushing extensively. He has his metas moving out, but he, again, because of his conservative deployment back here, which he probably should have because he didn't have the forces, but he's pretty much allowed me to lock down the zone, and I'm gonna follow through on it. I'm not gonna let him build up forces to try to counterattack and actually build a line. And this is what you have to do. You have to just play aggressive when you realize they're doubling you on another location. Because now I have like 400 or 500 more points. Maybe I have 400 more points, or 300. Yeah, we're in that range. Force on this front line, and it's in it compounds, right? So like, if you have an extra 200 points in the line, you're dealing more damage than your opponent, so he's going into the negative significantly faster than you are. I mean, I have 2 tanks. He only has 1. These 2 tanks are gonna be able to like send this tank into the negative, killing it, and then I have more force in the field, but also have more. My opponent's in the negative now for resources and units. See some clutches coming in response from him, but again, he bought a whole bunch. Redcorn is, see, this is what I'm talking about here now. So this is Redcorn sending forces here, but he had already sent forces in this location too to help out. You know, he got some AA, and now he's not microing it now. He's gonna have to start microing shit on his front. And it's gonna lead to a total disaster in overcompensating and having. And the problem is, right, is that Redcorn here has provided the AA for his teammate Salad, and now you know he can't be microing both the northern front and then also dealing with his AA. So when these key units need to be pushed up or anything like that, they're just not going to be. That response is not going to happen. See him get a nice cluster here, but nothing too crazy. Does get a nice hit on my heavy tank though, unfortunately. Doesn't matter though. I have another tank. He's still negative. Shot down 2 of his aircraft. And now I'm pushing way through. And Saint's also doing the same thing he's pushing now. Their micro's gonna start falling apart as both players have to micro the whole front. Now I'm just gonna keep pushing, right? So we're talking about the forces. Because he split up all his aircraft too to help out on the southern flank. He has nothing on the front line. I'm just walking through him. He's got like 3 units in the front line, nothing real substantial. Got tanks coming in. I got more units coming in. He's going to be trading negative the entire engagement because whenever engagement he takes now, he's going to be outnumbered. It's going to lead him to higher casualty rates and higher attrition rates. This is what we got to do, right? So now we're seeing Redcorn trying to position some of his A to help himself. But it's way too late now. And this is what you gotta do, really. It's like, when someone doubles, you just go ham to the wall and push. And if you need to help teammate, like, use your best judgment. Your teammate will probably should let you know, like, hey, am I doing fine? Or no, I'm not doing too okay. Because a lot of times, too, like, if you realize you're being doubled, what you should really do best, right? Saint was lucky. He played really well and crushed his opponents. But, like, ideally, like, I've had situations where I'm getting doubled in the southern flank and Saints in the north. You just play conservatively. All of a sudden, you set up a defensive line here and let your teammate do all the pushing while you just attrition in a defensive position that's advantageous for you. Those are the best moves you can do. So your teammates, maybe you go negative a little bit over here on the southern flank, but at least you can contest the zone while your teammate or Saint up here or myself just grinds all the way into the spawn. And this, then you can slowly build up a counter force over here and Saint can start picking it apart. Or I can pick it apart. That's what you need to do when you get doubled on, like. And when you realize you're being doubled, don't go all ham to the wall and play like you normally have to play. You have to immediately change your mindset from being aggressive to maybe playing a little bit more defensive. I see a lot of guys, like, they continue to play the game as if they're playing one player. And they don't let their teammates know, too. A lot of times, like, oh, I hate this. This is the worst teammates, right? Saying doesn't do this, but I've had other partners that they die in silence. They don't say a word. They get doubled. They don't let you know they're being doubled. So you're playing the game as if there is another player there, and he's playing conservative and just hiding a lot of his units. He doesn't communicate with you because you're focusing in your lane. And then he just gets wiped out by 2 players, and there's no communication about that. So it's really key to communicate your teammate about what's going on here, especially in a 2v2 or any type of team game too. This is the same principle in 3v3s or 4v4s. I mean, Comic 10s, I would say that they're the great filter game mode. You know, it's all up in the air. Anybody can do anything. But yeah, so you see the results here. Saint can't fully, like, it could be a CV here if that player wanted to. But Saint did pretty well on his location. But again, like, you can see there, I follow through on it. This guy can't get enough forces to get out of here. He's just getting his first tanks up here. We're way too late to the party. I already have a lot of HJs hanging out and about. Tons of forces pushing on them. Plenty of AA. You just can't do anything about that engagement. And you see pretty much a clean takeaway, right? So, like, that's a situation here. So my opponent doubled the southern flank against Saint. I pushed aggressive. I had more troops in the front line. I'm going to trade way positively, putting him in the negatives. Saint here getting doubled. He still did pretty well. Another defensive line. He didn't play hyper aggressive like he normally would if it was just a 1v1 player. So that's the thing you need to do, guys, if you ever get in these situations. To slow down when you're the double player, let your teammate know, let them play aggressive, and then slowly whittle away and then play aggressive at the right moment. That right moment, though, we have to play aggressive. Obviously, that takes time just to figure it out, and obviously you're never going to be right all the time. But hope this, guys, helps a little bit by getting doubled. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. Tell me about what you guys have tips for being doubled. I'd be very curious, and I'll see you guys around. Thanks for watching.